One after another, Russian generals are throwing their tanks and armored personnel carriers into a veritable meat grinder. In just 1 week of war, Russia has lost hundreds of vehicles. Today, we will look at the Russian army's most disastrous assaults. Russian generals are once again sending columns of armored vehicles into battle. The BMPs are moving along a narrow road, but Ukrainian reconnaissance drones are recording their every move. 2 BMPs are moving, and the first one hits a mine. Then the infantry gets out and tries to escape, but there is an explosion and debris hits the second BMP. Here we see 2 BMPs moving again, then they stop and enemy infantry disembarks, also trying to escape. But they are surrounded by mines. Then we see explosions, including mine explosions. As a result, 1 BMP is damaged and the second BMP is destroyed. Just look at how Russian soldiers are rushing on motorcycles and advancing across the territory. We can see how many of them there are. But it's not that simple, because one after another, they are falling victim to remote mining. Here we see an FPV drone hitting its target. As a result, 4 motorcycles were destroyed. A Ukrainian tank sets off on a mission, moving along the road. An enemy FPV drone flies overhead and hits the tank. But despite this, it continues to move forward, approaching enemy equipment, taking up a combat position, and beginning combat operations. After successfully completing its mission, it returns to its position. A Ukrainian tank is moving along the road, picking up speed toward a Russian position ahead. The tank gets close and fires its first shot, followed by another shot, then several more. And just like that, the Ukrainian tank captures the enemy position. We see 2 Kasta radar stations standing in the middle of an open field. These are mobile, low-altitude, 3-coordinate stations. The cost of this radar station starts at $60 million. Then a shell hits nearby, and an explosion occurs, followed by a second strike on the station, and the field is enveloped in smoke. As a result, 2 Kasta radar stations are damaged. A Russian truck is speeding across a field with enemy infantry inside, but it is spotted by a reconnaissance drone, and the first shell explodes nearby, scattering the transport with a blast wave. The second strike hits the enemy transport, and the vehicle explodes. A Ukrainian FPV drone flies low over a field. Ahead is an enemy warehouse storing dozens of anti-tank mines. The operator guides the drone precisely to the target. The strike is followed by a moment of silence before the detonation begins. As a result, the anti-tank mine warehouse is destroyed, and the enemy loses an important resource. Here, a Ukrainian FPV drone approaches a Russian Akhmat armored vehicle. It strikes the vehicle, causing it to catch fire and sustain damage. Here we also see an armored vehicle near the trees, a drone approaching the vehicle, and an explosion. Here, Russian soldiers tried to hide a cannon in a ditch between trees, but the operator spotted it, and a drone approached the cannon, causing an explosion. 2 Russian IFVs are moving with troops along a dirt road across a field toward positions held by the OSBR. Then enemy infantry disembarks from the IFVs into the landing zone, but they are spotted by Ukrainian operators and explosions begin. The first IFV is destroyed and the second IFV rolls away. Ukrainian operators then use drones to catch up with the fleeing BMP. The Ukrainian crew observes and spots an enemy Buk-SAM system, an anti-aircraft missile system, moving across the field. The commander quickly transmits the coordinates. The gunner locks onto the target and fires, hitting it and causing an explosion, with smoke billowing into the air. The Ukrainian crew is observing again and sees the R-330Z Zhetel, a Russian automated electronic warfare station designed to detect, locate, and jam radio emissions. The commander quickly transmits the coordinates, and a Ukrainian strike bomber takes up position and makes its first attempt to strike. The drone is shot down and falls in the target area. The second bomber strikes the enemy electronic warfare complex. This drone is not shot down, and the target is hit. We can see two ROV tanks moving towards the positions spotted by Ukrainian operators. They are moving along the road. Here we can see the first tank moving, and here is the second one. The Ukrainian crew fires at the first tank. Some shells fall near the vehicle, but some hit the tank, and it starts to smoke. The second tank is moving behind at a distance, and the Ukrainian crew also fires at it. The first tank turns back and is targeted by FPV calculations. There are hits. It loses control a little, but the first tank escapes, while the second tank stops and then moves further away from the positions. It continues to move, and the Ukrainian crew fires at the second tank. We see hits. It continues to move, but then the second tank is stopped. All FPV drones in the air are working to finish off enemy vehicles, and the first tank was also destroyed. As a result, two tanks were destroyed. The Ukrainian UAV crew detected a Russian Tor-M2 air defense missile system, a short-range air defense missile system, standing in the middle of a field. The target coordinates were transmitted to the strike UAV crew for fire damage. The kamikaze crew inflicted fire damage, and the air defense missile system was damaged, with the radar station's operation halted. The Ukrainian crew is monitoring the field and spots two Buk missile systems. The commander immediately transmits the coordinates. The artillery prepares for the strike and fires, damaging one target. Here, Ukrainian operators discovered an SPG, a Soviet anti-tank grenade launcher. The drone approaches the grenade launcher and an explosion occurs. But here, Ukrainian operators spotted an enemy tank using FPV. A drone approached it and an explosion occurred.